Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, January 14th. It's just past 10 a.m. We're going live here in Phoenix. As always, we're going to catch you up on everything that you might need to know about what's going on here. Hopefully answer a few of your questions. So stay tuned. What's up, everybody? It's Greg Corbett with the AZ Lifestyle Group right here in Phoenix, Arizona. If this is your first time at this channel and you're looking to find out everything you need to know about what it's like living in and or moving to the Phoenix metro area, make sure to hit that subscribe button, click the bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new video. We are helping people from all over when it comes to finding the best places and neighborhoods to live here, and we absolutely love it. So if you're even thinking about making a move and you need any assistance whatsoever, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, however you want to get a hold of us. We got your back when it comes to moving to the Phoenix metro. All right, let's go ahead and bring in my good friend and partner, Rudy Lopez with Prime Lending. Rudy, good morning. How are you, sir?
Morning, sir. Doing well. How are you?
I don't have a coffee today, but I do have a water here.
All right. Well, I don't know how you do that because I have to have my cup of coffee when we're having these calls. I have to.
It's all good. It gets you in a good mood. It gets you flowing when it comes to talking about topics and getting stuff going, and I like it. So keep that coffee running, and maybe I'll need to get one so I can keep up with you.
You got it.
Did you do your burpees today?
I did my 150 burpees in the morning. Now I've gotten my daughter, 2.5-year-old daughter, kind of getting in on the action.
Oh, wow. All right.
She sees daddy working out, so now she's also just kind of doing her own version of the burpee, which is kind of just flopping down on the ground and standing up, and she thinks it's the coolest and funnest thing ever. So I'm proud that she's learning some good habits, at least for now.
You're a maniac. I want to get likes. Everybody give us a like for Rudy doing 150 burpees every morning, because that's insane. That deserves a like all on its own.
Right.
And what funny story, like I was watching, I'm looking at our screen right now. I was watching YouTube last night on my TV, and it was nothing but bad news and garbage on. And then I came across our video from last week, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch it just to see like what it looks like on TV, because I've never really done that before. And I go on there. It's kind of funny because it's like, we're not the pro YouTubers yet per se when it comes to our backgrounds. I don't have like anything flashy in the back. I'm trying to get better. Our lighting is kind of probably not the greatest, but I'll tell you what. Our content's pretty killer. I might be biased, but I think our content's good. So for those of you out there that are watching and be like, what are these clowns doing with their backgrounds? And they'll have like a funny, I get that. Just listen to what we're trying to say. I think hopefully we'll help you out a little bit.
That's what I tell my wife every day. Just listen to me for once, and you'll see I'm actually, I mean well.
Don't look at all the other stuff around.
Yeah.
Well, just listen to what I'm saying. Don't worry about anything else around me.
I'm going to point her to this video as soon as we get off, so that she can, reconsider. As soon as I walk in the door, I got to just tell her, hey, calm down. Just listen to what I got to say.
So what you're saying is I probably shouldn't tell people that. It's probably not accurate. All right.
Right. No, you're right. We're working on the whole scene, or not the scene, but just the background and all that good stuff. But I agree with you. We're genuine, salt to the earth guys that we just love what we do, and our passion is to help people out. So don't judge a book by its cover, I guess, so in terms of the animations or lack thereof.
Yeah, we need professional help when it comes to that, and probably when it comes to a few things. But
right.
but as far as getting on here, giving you guys everything you need to know about what's important, then hopefully we're hitting the mark there. But let's talk about that a little bit, Rudy. Like it's crazy to me that it's already mid-January. Like where did the last 2 weeks go? And so far, like I would say, kind of like what we talked about, like ending last year, going into this year, we haven't had that holiday and New Year's kind of hangover that we typically see. Like people kind of are. I'd say, it typically takes like a few weeks before we start seeing a ramp up in traffic and what's going on. It has been nonstop for us since January got going. So I feel like, and we were just talking about this briefly before we jumped on. It's like what expectations, again, keep ramping up. We're still like one of the hottest markets in the country, and we are seeing a number of people still moving from all over the place coming in here. So, what are you seeing? Like, what can we tell people to expect?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to slow down anytime soon for a number of reasons. One is there's still that pent up demand. As long as there's that pent up demand from mid last year till now, there's as soon as a house is on the market, it's like like vultures jumping on its prey. It's just not going to slow down anytime soon. And there's still so many people that are out shopping for homes and not enough sellers.
Yeah.
For numerous reasons. Obviously, interest rates are still at historic lows. There's still going to be people that want to buy a house, take advantage of that because they can buy a house for a cheaper monthly payment than they're currently renting. There's people fleeing certain states for numerous reasons and causing certain markets to heat up even more than they have in the past. So you have that in the mix.
Yep.
You have people that are leaving the cities and what's it called, deurbanization, I believe what it's called, and they're fleeing to the suburbs. So now it's causing more demand out in the suburbs, causing builders to have a higher demand and slow them down as well.
Yep.
And then you have sellers that don't want to leave because they can sell their home and get a lot of money for it, but what are they going to turn around and do is pay for a house or compete or get into all this mess with all these other buyers, and they just don't want any part of it. So there's just so many factors that are involved, and then you just get into a situation where it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon, especially here where we're having. I just read an article from the Cromford Report. These guys are amazing when it comes to our local market and giving us all the information that we can use. But they said that we're at a 20% out-of-state buyers now. We have 20% out-of-state buyers now, which is up from the all-time high before, which was at 15.1%, I believe is what it is. And, we're just getting more and more people, which is just adding more and more to the problem, I guess, or not problem, but the lack of inventory.
Well, and I know, from what I've been seeing lately, like on the listings that I am currently working, and I'm sure a lot of people are dealing with this, like I'm getting probably over 50% of them are virtual showings. We're getting agents going out there, doing the showings virtually, sending video back to people, being their advocate, going in and saying, hey, look, this is here's the house. You guys don't have time to come out and look at this, but based on what I know from you guys, this is what you're probably looking for. And people are putting in offers sight unseen. Personally, from a listing side, I don't really, I'm not a huge fan of that because people can come and go quickly and then jump off. But now it's kind of getting so much that it's normal that it's like those are the offers that you're seeing, and I think people on the positive side, if you're a seller and on your buyers, like it's becoming more common, and people are being like, okay, we need to make this happen because if not, we're going to lose out, and we're going to be paying more. Because the longer you wait, the more you're going to pay. I know a lot of us were thinking that maybe there was going to be some sort of market trend to calm things down. Maybe not. It was never going to be a situation where prices start tanking, but at least calm down where you're not up against like 50 people all the time.
Yeah, and I hate to beat a dead horse when it comes to this, but living in Arizona, we, especially if you were here during 8, 9, and 10 and 11 during the market crash, you have this fear of it happening again and houses dropping, 50% in value and just the world coming to an end.
Yeah.
And where, yes, there will be a slowdown because it just can't continue at this point or at this rate forever in perpetuity. But there's so much equity. There's still so much real demand out there, real live people that want to live in a real live home. And it's not fake in any means, like it was back then in terms of like these loan programs that no longer exist. I've talked to quite a few people recently who have asked me if I foresee, a market crash happening again. And the answer is no. We don't see that happening. And the reason for that is there's the homes that are currently in forbearance or deferment. Yes, these folks are having a hard time possibly making their payment, and they're possibly in a situation that's not ideal, but they do have the equity to sell their home.
Yep.
They're not in a situation where they're going to have to get foreclosed on
right.
for the most part. And I know we've said that numerous times, and that's being said a lot, but I just want to reiterate that if you're waiting for the sky to fall and for prices to drop 10, 15, 20% so that you can swoop in and get a deal, you're probably going to be sitting on the sidelines for a very long time.
Yeah.
But not only is that going to happen, but the geopolitical geopolitical temperature that's going on with everything going on with our government is also going to possibly cause interest rates to go up in the short term.
Yeah.
They're still at historic lows no matter what at the moment, but not only are you going to see price increases continue, but you're more than likely going to see interest rate increases here.
And it sets the bar. I think because it's always one of those things. Is like, hey, I remember in days when people were like, hey, I could get 4% interest rates. That's amazing. And now, and then it got to 3.5 to 3, and then it's like now it's been in like the 2s, and so it sets that bar of expectations, and it's like, okay, well. Great, if you can score yourself somewhere in the 2s, that's fantastic. But even if it trickles back up into the 3s again, you're still getting a good deal, but it does make a difference on what you're buying and what that payment is per month. So yes, you're still going to get a good interest rate. Yes, historically it's going to be in one of the better situations, but you got to factor in like how's it going to affect you if prices go up and interest rates go up? What's your difference now versus waiting, a few months potentially? It's a hard one. I know, a lot of people are weighing this out. Again, we go through this ourselves. It's hey, you don't want to buy a house until you're ready, and you want to make the best decision. You should make sure that you do that. But if you have the ability and you are just waiting because you think things are going to change for the positive, that's where I'd say, all indications are pointing towards this continuing to increase.
It absolutely does. You're absolutely right. And, it's funny to your point about interest rates being at historic lows. Last week I had a conversation with a first-time home buyer, and his rate at the time when we were doing the pre-qualification is about 2.75. And he asked me why it was so high. And I almost had to just take a step back and regroup myself. Because it's the best rate not that it's the best rate, but it's like one of the best rates that you can find right now to purchase a home. Yes,
Rudy, I've gotten multiple mailers in the past week that said I could refinance or buy a house at 1.25.
At 1.25?
I got a little sarcastic, but it's probably 2.2. But you know what I'm saying is like you get these everybody's getting all these mailers and stuff sent out, and you're hearing the radio like, oh, you can do whatever. There's a little bit of misleading going on with some of these things that are going out there. So that's what's challenging.
And rates change on a daily basis. People don't realize that. The advertisement that you see today is going to be totally different tomorrow. And a perfect example, the most recent example is last Tuesday's Georgia runoff election. The day after, rates, I hate to use the word spiked because they're still super low, but they went up about 1/4 of a point because the consensus is a Democratic controlled government. There's going to be more cost, more spending, more stimulus out into the economy, and typically that means the economy is stimulated a little bit more. As a result, interest rates go up a little bit. And I got a few calls from people on Thursday, Friday asking me if rates have change or if they can still get this low interest rate from an advertisement that they saw about a week earlier. And the answer is unfortunately not right now.
Yeah.
But over the last 48 hours, rates have stabilized and kind of started going down a little bit more. So they change. My point is they change all the time.
Right.
It's not until you lock it and that that you don't have to worry about it. But if it's just like a stock, right? You can't expect the stock to stay at the same price or expect to buy it from last week's price. You got to make sure that you understand that it's going to change up or down.
Yeah, no, it's all about timing, and we all are shooting for that best time and that perfect time to maximize the potential, and so yeah, it's one of those things where try to do the best you can, but if you don't get exactly what you wanted, the world's not going to end, and you're still going to get overall you're going to hit your goals of what you need to do. So don't let it affect you too much.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes because we're force fed so much about low interest rates, low interest rates, low interest rates, and it's true. People tend to just focus on what their rate is, as opposed to, am I really getting the right mortgage product? Am I really putting the right amount of money down? Am I really exploring my options and taking the blinders off and just really understanding the whole package, not just the interest rate?
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of folks seem to just miss the mark. And thankfully, that's what makes me different, I feel like, is that I can help you kind of maneuver through all that noise and figure out what's best for you in the short and long term. And the truth is, like, a difference of an eighth of a point, 2.875 and 2.99 or 3% versus 3.125 is so minimal that in the long run, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. What is going to make a difference is if you're in the right mortgage product for the right time horizon that you have set forth for you and your family. Yeah.
No, it's a good point, and definitely, it's, trust me, it's hard. I think even being in the business, sometimes you kind of miss some of those details and don't really get the full picture because it's never been fully explained to you, and so you just kind of you're constantly focused on what's that best interest rate that's going to get me the best deal, and that's all the focus is. Because the other thing too, and this is huge, not only just the loan product, but who you're dealing with in general, because I have this conversation with a lot of people all the time as well. Just because your credit union or some credit union randomly in some other state is going to give you an interest rate that you think is better, don't automatically assume that's the best way to go, because a lot of these banks, maybe they're trying to churn out a ton of business, but they don't have the ability to get stuff done on time. They maybe are going to disqualify you last minute for something and then put you in a situation where you could lose out on a house, potentially lose your earnest money. So, all that stuff is great until people have to perform. And a lot of people just assume everything's going to work out. And unfortunately, we've gone through enough situations on our end to be like, hey, picking who your lender is more important than you think. And, just because somebody thinks they're going to give you a little bit better interest rate, that's not always the best fit for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's that old saying, there's no free lunch, right? Even if you think you're getting a better quote unquote deal, there's always something behind the scenes that you may or may not be aware of. A perfect example to your point about the different reasons why certain lenders are not, but is appraisals. If you're working with a national, let's just say a company that isn't privy to the everyday challenges and changes of our local market here, then you could potentially be in a situation where the house just won't appraise because the appraiser is not in tune with what's going on here. A lot of mortgage companies, you may or may not know this, they just kind of randomly shoot out a request for an appraisal to a bunch of people that they don't even have a relationship with. And then whoever is available picks up the appraisal and goes and does it. And if they're not in tuned, there could be a possibility that the house may or may not appraise or may not appraise. And now you're in another situation that you shouldn't have been in.
And that hurts everybody too. I mean, I've definitely gone through a few situations recently on that too, where you have a bad appraisal. That hurts both the buyer and the seller, because the buyer, if the buyer can't afford to pay up to where they think the value is, because a lot of the buyers are like, hey, I think the value's there, and then appraiser comes in lower. The seller's not going to just automatically drop down and be like, okay, cool, I'm going to take the lower value that appraiser gave. And now all of a sudden you got a stalemate, and you got people that can't perform. It's bad news for everybody, and it's just unfortunate. And I feel for appraisers, because they're put on the spot as well, and they've got a lot of pressure to perform and not overvalue property. So look, I get that, but But man, if they don't know for sure what they're doing and they're going off of information that decreases the value of the house, then I would, yeah, you're gonna hurt a lot of parties involved.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to make sure you fully understand who you're working with. It's not just what's my rate, what's my payment. That's a nice house. The flooring is nice. It's so much more.
Yeah.
And you just got to make sure you're working with someone that you trust.
I want to like shift a little bit here, just because I want to get feedback. Get feedback from you too, really. Like we can get lost in these conversations every time we jump on a call because number one, it's important for people to know. But I want our conversations also to potentially include just kind of fun stuff of what's going on around town, like what people not only about just buying but also like what it's like living here and what we're kind of going through right now. If anybody's watching, whether it's live or whether you're watching later, and you want to hear. If you're like, hey, this stuff, what you guys are giving is awesome, give us more of it, great. But if you're like, hey, no, it's cool, thank you guys for sharing that, but I also want to hear more about what it's actually like living in Phoenix right now, give us that comment as well, because I think we should have a little bit of both. And especially right now, we're in January. It's like one of the best times of the year, obviously. The weather's been perfect.
Yeah.
It's been sunny. It's been mostly like, in the 60s. It cools down at night, but it's like beautiful weather. If the sun's so warm, like you go outside, it almost feels like it's 90 when you go outside, even though it's not. And we're in a situation, like obviously we're still dealing with a bunch of COVID. We're still a very hot spot when it comes to COVID, if not, from a numbers perspective, one of the worst. But we're also have not really shut down like a lot of places have, and a lot of people are enjoying themselves here. So I want to find there's a good balance. I want to take the positives about it not being shut down because that's good. I know our numbers, are what they are, but I think a lot of people are enjoying being here right now.
Yeah, one thing about the whole shutdown and being careful or not being careful, whatever, is the ability here to. There's so much outdoor activities that are available, so many outdoor activities that are available, and just in the terms of just parks and hiking and whatever you want to do, where you could still socially distance and have a good time, and you're not feel like you're trapped inside your house. Obviously, restaurants are what is the word? Just they're up to code or whatever it is on social distancing, their tables and all that good stuff.
Some of them are, some of them are not.
Oh, are they? Okay.
I would say, and I'm like, I haven't been able to go out and I don't know how long, but I know like when I've driven by, or if like, you go like pick up takeout sometimes from a couple places, and you kind of peek in through the door and you're like, you guys are getting away with stuff, but it's, I wouldn't call it like social distancing per se, which look, I'm not going to judge, people. I want these businesses to stay running. I want people who feel like, they need to go out and enjoy themselves to do it. I still want people to be safe and cautious. I don't want a huge burden on our healthcare workers, but man, like there's got to be a balance too. So you can't. There's no. I don't know. It's one of those tricky things for me because you can get hammered either way, but no matter what you say.
Yeah, and going into March and April, which is probably going to be here in a blink of an eye, we're going into a year of lockdown / social distancing / running at 50% capacity. Yeah, it's almost a year here, and it's going to be here before you know it. But that's one thing I love about living here is that we have the ability to just go outside and enjoy this beautiful weather and spend time with your family. You don't have to even spend any money. You just go to the parks. There's so many parks here, so many places to go to. There's Sedona 2 hours north. There's Flagstaff. And, if you want to head over to Vegas or San Diego, those are a little further drives, but it's not that far. It's only maybe 5-6 hours or so. And you just have the ability to do so much here. And with the weather being as beautiful as it is right now, you just staying at home or cooped up inside your house. If you want to do that, that's great, but you also have the ability to not do that. And that's why I think it's so awesome living here. And then the restaurants, man, the food here is pretty top notch.
We are very lucky when it comes to that, for sure. Have you heard anything? Like, I didn't get a chance to look it up, and I've heard like a little bits and pieces on the radio as far as what's going on. Have you heard anything as far as like our typical events, like the big, January is typically huge for like the Barrett Jackson auction, all the auto auctions. I haven't heard if anything is still running, but without crowds. I know we've got the Waste Management Open coming up. I think obviously they're, for good reason, they can't have the big crowds that they typically have for these type of things, but I think they're allowing a certain amount of people in. Have you heard any bits and details on some of the large events that we typically get going here?
I haven't, and it's been strange. Maybe me personally, I just haven't heard about it, or they haven't really announced anything. But you're right. We've got Waste Management, Barry Jackson. We got spring training coming up here soon. So,
and I haven't heard. Because you follow baseball a lot. Have you heard any indication of like, hey, is spring training on? Is it off? Is it like, are they? I mean,
it's on. However, more than likely, no fans. If I was to bet, and once the baseball season starts in April, then no one's announced anything yet. It's been a lot of wait and see. This first quarter is going to be interesting. With there's been a spike in cases because of the flu season, but I don't know, man. I haven't heard anything.
We'll see. I mean, they've got the vaccine going out. Where there was huge lines. I saw some videos posted of these massive drive-through lines over at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, and people starting to get the vaccine. I don't know how long that's going to take to have any effect on things, if it does. But I'm optimistic that we'll start to see, maybe if that's happening, we'll start to see like a little bit of a downturn in the numbers, and it's. It'll be an interesting couple months, but I'm hoping that we still get to. I mean, thankfully the weather's always good, so no matter what, even if we don't have these big events, there's things you can do to enjoy yourself. But it'd be nice. Yeah. It'd be nice to have some of these events where you at least get a few people to go in and enjoy it. Yeah,
and who knows when there will be that day where we wake up in the news and in the news they say, today's normal. Today's a normal day.
The news will never say that.
Yeah, you could not wear a mask. I don't know when that's going to happen. So I think masks are here to stay for a while.
Yeah. That's a bummer, but it is what it is. Like, again, like you do what you got to do. I don't want it to become the norm. That's for sure. I would definitely be on trying to figure out a way where we can be back in a fairly shopping or whatever. I don't know. I could go off on this, so I probably won't. I probably will just we'll have this conversation another time. But
right on.
Yeah, it's all good. Rudy's telling me, he's like, don't go into it now, Greg.
Yeah, man. Then we'll be here for another 30 minutes.
That's true. Well, cool, man. Like any other things that you can think? I'm trying to think of just things that would be helpful for people to know, whether they're getting ready to move here, they're maybe making a trip to kind of see anything. I'm trying to think from just an overall perspective what could be helpful for us to share.
Well, I think right now is a great time to come, and if you're able to, I would urge you to spend this time of the year when it's beautiful out to explore. During the summertime, the summertime is also a good time to come check out how hot it gets. But your ability to do more, explore more, visit more homes is probably greater now than in the summertime, simply for just it feeling better outside. So I would say, call us. This is a very important time. Get pre-qualified, because the chances of you having to put offers on multiple homes before you actually get the home are greater. Unfortunately, it's just the reality. It is what it is. So the sooner you get prepared, the sooner you have time to explore and do your due diligence, the more houses you put offers on before that one hits, I think the better. You don't want to call us and say, I need to move next month, because then it could potentially cause a little bit more heartburn than you want. So I would just say the sooner the better.
Yeah, and we've got our ways to help hopefully make your offer look a little bit better than some of the competing ones. There's definitely some things that we can do to help improve your odds, but it is what it is. I mean, there's a lot of competition out there, and there's not a lot of houses. So, well, cool. Rudy, appreciate you jumping on as always. To anybody out there, if you're watching, let us know if you have any questions. We're here to help you. We'll jump on anytime with you guys, take you through, just kind of guide you as to what it's like, what you should be ready for, and hopefully help you have a positive transition at some point if you're looking to move to Arizona. So have a great day to everybody out there. Rudy, enjoy your day as well. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thanks
everybody.